So as it stands today, cannabis has actually been legal in the UK, United Kingdom, Great Britain since 2018. It's also grown on an industrial scale in the UK by someone who we all should really know of. Theresa May, her husband Philip May, actually owns or is in the links with a hemp cannabis contributor where their site is roughly, take this into consideration, 52 football pitches in size, growing cannabis every single day within the UK. Now, I've also done some of my own research and I've been on the Home Office website and I've seen that we are able to obtain our own licenses to grow cannabis as well. I've seen there's two different licenses we're able to obtain. One being for able to grow cannabis under the 0.2% THC level, and then that is costing about £800 to obtain. And then the second one is to grow anything over 0.2% THC, and that's going to cost in range of about £5,000 to obtain that license. And within doing so, you're going to have to fill out roughly 8 pages of data, information, the Home Office, government, whoever they want to send the details to, you're going to have to provide that, whether that be property, electrics, lighting, how big the landscape is, the land you're working on. They want everything. Just bear that in mind. You're able to go do some background research also. Not saying that it's impossible, but it can be done. Now, regarding driving and operating heavy machinery, I'm going to use my personal circumstances, my experiences, to how me being legally prescribed cannabis whilst driving and operating heavy machinery. In my circumstances, when I actually got done by the law whilst driving under the influence of cannabis, I was not in receipt of my legal prescription, meaning I was obtaining illegally from not a government registered establishment. I was getting it basically from the streets, from your next door neighbour, whoever else. I was getting it wrong. My solicitor was basically then unable to defend me to the full extent of the law, but I was able to learn so much through my circumstances, such as you are allowed to drive on cannabis. You are allowed to have it in your system. Just like any other prescription drug, you are provided from your doctor, your GP, your local pharmacy. When it is stated you should not operate heavy machinery if you feel impaired, that also transfers into medication and drugs such as cannabis. Meaning, if you're not able to look after yourself and the general public in a safe, controlled environment, such as if you're in a car unable to stay in a straight line, you're swerving everywhere, you can't gauge distances, your eyesight's blurred, you're not able to drive. But what we need to understand and respect and remember, there's people with all sorts of tolerances. There's people like myself who've been on it from 10 years old, who've got a very high tolerance, and I can't get much out of a 0.2 capsule. But basically, that for me, for example, this to me is like one good drag on a smoke, like a joint, a blunt, a spliff, whatever you want to call it. One good drag or a couple good drags, that is equivalent to that. And if you've been consuming a substance for so long, you will know you need to, like, I know people that say they smoke 18 joints a day, 5 minutes, however it was. We was on a motorway. I went on a council estate off to a motorway, and on the motorway they pulled me over. I've had my window fully down. I fully know you're gonna smell it on me. I'm trying to explain. I was on my way to pick up a partner. I was asked to just pull over at the next junction. We'll speak to you then. Okay, complied. Pulled over at the next junction, and I thought I pulled over, turned my vehicle off, but the officer, yet again, my windows down. The officers then pulled me and said, like, turn your car off. So I've gone, I thought it was, and I've looked down to make sure is the light on, off. And in that time, the officers dived through my window. They both tried it. They're trying to grab anything to disrupt me or the vehicle. And I panicked. I drove off, and whatever happened, and it wasn't really documented because it was away from viewing eyes. Regardless, alleged. Later, an hour later, that was Cheshire Police. An hour later, Merseyside Police ended up finding me. Repeat situation. In the end, I lost my car because my solicitor was unable to defend me. I was in breach of agreement in my contract. I was under a leased vehicle, so no matter what, there's a very high chance when you're trying to defend yourself behind a vehicle or in a public place, you have to be aware that you are going to come in contact with the general public and local authority enforcement officers who will be questioning you. So you have to understand where you're consuming this and the state of yourself predicted, where you take it and where you're going to end up later in the day after you've consumed this. Because depending on how you conduct yourself in the public eye, on the roads, you're going to be judged and you're going to be questioned. So if you don't want that, keep yourself at home, keep yourself private, and work within the law to keep yourself safe. If you're going to go out, expect some challenges from time to time, but with certain credentials and certain pieces of equipment, these can be helped with you going forward. If you are not in agreement with your car and you do own the car yourself, this is also where you could have your vehicle impounded, where you will get costs. But this is not saying you cannot get your vehicle back. This is not saying you cannot get impound and court costs back. You win your claim, everything is legal. You have a solicitor who I can try and get a link in my bio down at the bottom. I'll try and get his credentials on the screen. I will try and do something where my lawyer can actually defend you if everything is above board. You are in receipt of legal cannabis, you was not impaired, there's police statements, there's other statements, there's dash cam footage. Also, coincidentally, going forward in my punishment, I was in receipt of 180 hours community service plus probation. Now, being a patient on medical cannabis, that puts you as a type category patient. I don't know what category or type I go into, but being on cannabis, you're automatically put into a group. Now, this group is unable to actually attend probation meetings. In this group, I was found out you're unable to attend your unpaid work also. Take that as you will. Going forward, of some examples of what you would need to be in public or in the police eye to help you stay above the law. Here are some jars I've obtained through my prescriptions. For example, this, it would have a seal. You would release the seal and your flower would be inside. There's many brands from Big Nasty Medicals to Mike Tyson's own brands, and there's lots of other good ones. There's also many types of packets, THC levels, brands, so many you can choose from. Now, going forward with how to actually be in public, you would want your flower to either be stored in something like these, where I won't show you fully because it's my personal data and things like that, but you would have documentation of just generally what you're carrying in your person. Which would also be signed off from your doctor or GP, health professional. When consuming in public, you're actually unable to consume with anything paper tobacco related. So that would mean Rizzler, flavoured rape. The only thing you can get away with if you want to smoke or vape is something like these. So I'll turn them on for you. So here we have two different forms of vapes. Got a nozzle to smoke, temperature gauges. This is actually a very high end one, costing roughly £200 odd. You would crack the top, and put this down. You would crack the top, and that is where you would put your cartridge, your 0.2, or basically put your flower in there, lock it back them. But if you want to be in public, that is how you've got to play it. Now, something I'm not actually happy with is, like, to me, this is still smoking. But to the professional, if you say smoking, they actually get upset and offended. To them, this is vaping. But for me, you're set in an oven, you've got metal, I've just burnt myself, metal components, yeah, metal, right? If I'm putting flour that is ground up, or if I get loads of bushes and throw them into my oven and set it to a temperature, what's going to leave that? Vapour or smoke? To me, that's smoke. So I'm still smoking, not vaping. But in the eyes of the law, will just be correct to be correct, yeah? So what you're going to need is, when you get your flour in one of these tubs, they shall also come with a paper receipt, a paper prescription. I have many different forms. Paper prescription. Everything is legal and above board, and to YouTube guidelines. Nothing is breaking no guidelines. You will receive paper prescription. You will receive these two through the post. Now, depending where you take your clinic, with my post, say for example, I order it between Monday to Wednesday, before 3 PM, it is guaranteed next day delivery, Royal Mail. Once you've been prescribed two different forms of medication or somewhere to take yourself to receive a form of treatment, you are then eligible to go forward for medical prescription prescribed, all above legal cannabis. What I mean by that is, if you're prescribed anything from your GP, your doctor or your pharmacist, that being an oral medication like tablets or a liquid form, creams or anything you put on your body, or a location you've had to go to such as physio or something to help or fix, on request, please could you have your summary of care. If they ask you, the smaller version is fine, that is all you need. It is just a history, a list. It is just a list of your history of medication, treatments and symptoms and diagnoses. Step number 4. Once you have gone down and signed for your approval for your summary of care, and it has been approved and you can now go down and collect it, go and collect it. Step number 5. take a picture of it, put it onto your mobile phone or a device that you use and you're comfortable using to upload to the internet, to an email or something that you can provide your clinic your information. Also, when you're in public and you finally have your vaporizer, you've got your medical jar and your paper prescription. If that's all too much to carry, because I understand a paper prescription could be easily damaged, I'd recommend applying for a Canna card. Now, a Canna card is an independent place. It isn't, I'll put a link in the bio, I'll put the spelling there wherever you need something. Canna card is just a simple platform. So basically, I'll put half of it there. You've got a QR code and your personal information and just information for law enforcement. And basically all that does is it identifies you. You can use this as a legal identification. I have done it. It has got my picture, it's got my name, date of birth, my NHS number and my Canna card ID number plus a QR of my legal prescribed prescription. Basically, you take a picture of this, you upload it, you register and upload it to this website, and then anyone who wants to stop you, question you about your consumption and understand more can scan the QR code. It will show them your paper prescription so you don't get it damaged in public, and you should be able to walk on freely. Step number 6. I would advise that you go and visit a website called medbud.wiki. medbud.wiki. I'll put a link down there, I'll put it here, I'll help you wherever I can. Look through the pharmacies and clinics and do a little bit of research yourself. Go through the pharmacies and clinics and do a little bit of research yourself and try and find what would best suit you and what you desire. Mind-blowing realisation this is all legal, and enjoy that. There's also been many times I've been chatting with my clinic and we've actually both gone back and referred to medbud.wiki just so that we're both on the same page, whether that's discussing THC levels, cost per 10 grams to an ounce and 1 gram, and just information just going back and forth. It's good that we both understand and it isn't just made up. We both know this is a real thing, we can both refer back to it, it's all comfortable. Your medical advisor is only there to help you, so it will feel strange to speak to someone of a profession in a professional environment, something you know to be illegal or was illegal or uncomfortable to talk about so freely in public, but please give them everything you've got. I've jumped ahead of myself a bit there, but step number 7. Once you have your first appointment, you sort of need to sell yourself in the sense of why would weed help or cannabis help you, your body, your life, your circumstances. Once you have your first appointment, it's the only time you've got, so you don't have to oversell it, you don't have to overshoot your usage. Just be honest and they'll give you the best help, because at the end of the day, I think the best thing to do is tell them exactly what you need so that they can give the best advice, best help, they can tailor it exactly to you, and you're building a relationship. So for example, there's so many flavours, so much information around the herb and cannabis plant that if you don't like something or it doesn't agree with you, they're marking this down and they can revert back to it, and because they've got laboratories and they've got places they can recycle and regrow and reproduce, what you can get things again. It's not like your local person from down the road who it is what it is. It's gone when it's gone. They don't know what they're on about. You don't know if they're storing it correctly and stuff like that. Weed is prone to mold. You do want the best for your lungs and your best for your body, because you want the best to put in yourself at the end of the day. By the end of the first appointment, depending what clinic and who you're speaking to, you might actually find out if you are eligible there and then that day. If not, you might have to have a second video appointment. This is fine. This is just because the first person you've spoken to is like a receptionist, or I'm not 100% how you explain it, but they're there to make sure you're not wasting the big doctor's time, whether it's male or female. You're not wasting their time, and you are eligible to go forward with the program. If you do get the second appointment, don't be deterred. Just rinse and repeat the same the first time, and just tell them exactly why it helps you, why it would be beneficial, and everything should be fine. If there's any questions going forward regarding medical cannabis, legally prescribed cannabis, if you want to reach out, if you want any more advice, you're more than welcome to leave a comment, message me. I'm sure other people will be commenting their experiences, what they've had, and yeah, I hope the future will be a bit greener. I hope people will not be as offended by the smells. We've all got used to people's BO, tobacco, alcohol, smells, different foods. We just understand what they are, but unfortunately a lot of our ancestors, relatives have been brainwashed by an old government agenda that we need updating. So hopefully your future will become a lot easier, a lot more helpful after this video. If there's anyone you think will benefit from this video, I'll appreciate if you share that to them, because at the end of the day, I only know this information because I look for this information. Now I know a lot of people struggle to find this information because it's not widely known. So the more people that record it, talk about it, and reach out about it, the more we can change about it. Let's get cannabis shop wise put up front. You don't have to hide, you don't have to be an underground thing anymore. Let's make it worldwide known. Cannabis is the future. Peace.